Bob, I guess you got lucky with the 2 morning cases, not having to do the Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I'll sit in with Jim probably this afternoon.
Okay, I will, I did talk to JB Cross and, yeah, so if the judge agrees to that, then it should just be 1 thorough hearing instead of 13,
13.
which I think will be better for everyone.
Mr. Swinford, do you have a witness that's going to be testifying?
I do not.
Okay. So it seems like, I guess this is going to be everybody in the hearing this morning at 9 a.m.
So yeah.
All right. Good deal.
Good morning.
Good morning. Brianna. Wyatt, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So just a short update and apologies from the judge. He was working with another elected official in a department through our COVID protocol this morning. We had, unfortunately, an exposure event in another office. So we're making sure that everybody's healthy and safe and getting tested and back to normal soon. Okay.
I totally get it. It's crazy time, that is for sure. Not a
We'll
problem.
be in just a couple minutes. How are you?
I'm well. What about you?
No complaints to say today. Wyatt has the transition to virtual meetings for county courts normalized your travel schedules at all?
Yeah, I would say so. It this time of year is my annual trip to Little Rock usually, so like I'm going to get to do that this year, but
Well, you'll just have to come for pleasure at some point.
yeah, absolutely. Get my case down in Texarkana, and I suspect I'm going to be headed down there soon. So.
Morning, Adam.
Good morning. Oh, that coffee stole really hot. Turn it on the way down.
Uh-oh.
This time of year that I'm much more excited about coffee than normal because I'm so cold all
Yeah.
the time.
That's how I stay warm in my office.
Just have that heater on.
It's usually a refrigerator in there.
I just have my heater on all the time.
It's either 65 or 85. That's,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's the whole building.
That's what I was like. I wore pants instead of a skirt and a bigger blazer today, so I'd be warm in here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Judge,
Apologize for my tardiness. Y'all stay after school if you'll insist. You want to sit it there.
Have to turn it on.
And the attorney name is Wyatt Swinford. Winford? Yes. Winford. Winford, okay. Is he online with us? Yes, he is. He is, okay, there he is, I'm right. Okay, have we already had introductions? Everyone knows who everyone is?
You're muted, Frank.
My apologies. I didn't know, Valletta, if you were going to be speaking. If not, I just went ahead and have been muting people that aren't testifying just to kind of reduce any feedback or anything. But if there is anything, feel free to raise your hand or request an unmute, and I can absolutely do that. Okay, thank you. That's all. We've got everything else going.
Okay, so Mr. Swinford's been introduced. I'm sorry, Bob Clay. Oh, yeah. I assume Bob's not a shy type. I'm assuming he's been introduced officially. Okay.
White and I go way back, so.
Yeah.
We'll start this proceeding in the matter of this is the Park Plaza Mall petition. So the only apparently Bob is the only witness we're going to have today. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Clerk, will you go ahead and swear in Bob?
This is clear today.
This is Larry.
I'm sorry.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Okay, Mr. Swinford, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And just a little background, I'm sure most everyone is aware of a lot of the issues going on at Park Plaza Mall. That is the reason I don't have a witness here today. The company has pushed off, CBL has pushed off bankruptcy to, I think, 2 weeks from now as of the latest report. And foreclosure proceedings do appear to be beginning on this property, which is why I'm flying solo today. I've submitted 4 exhibits today, primarily consist of the record in this case, and I'll just be discussing those and pointing those out. That will be my presentation today. And your exhibit number 1, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Sorry about that, guys. A little delayed here. There we go. Attention. Probably hard to read.
Yes.
But I will walk you. Okay, sounds good. Yes, basic petition that was filed here in the county court for Park Plaza obviously references the subject property in the mall. Specifically here, we are asking for a value of 20,910,000 or less. And that is the basis of our claim, or the value that we're asking for here today. I'm going to switch over to exhibit number 2. This is the exhibits that were presented at the board organization hearing. We have a very basic income workup, which shows how we got to the 20,910,000 value, and walking the court through this. Projected income using market rate of $20. Market rates on vacancy loss, actual expenses around 30%. We used a cap rate, a base rate of 20%, and then loaded that with the effective tax rate for a combined rate of 21.4. When you do the math on that, that brings you down to 23,910,000.
That's just revalue. Yeah.
And then the additional pages with this, that is the high level. We've submitted our income statements and rent rolls that go with that. Those actual numbers are a little bit higher than used here in our workup. But we're doing this on a go forward basis. What would someone pay for this in a arm's length sale? A willing buyer, a willing seller. They would look at these market rates to see what they thought this property would do in the future, primarily being an income generating property. So that is how we've prepared our basic workup of income. And to show the court that this value is not, and the assessor's at 63 million, show the court that this value is not out of the realm of reality that we're asking for. I'm going to move over to exhibit number 3. This is a public record. This is an SEC filing for CBL, the parent company that owns Park Plaza, this specific Park Plaza entity in this mall. Going through this 10K that was filed, this was for calendar year 2019. See a few things that I think are going to be consistent with what we'll see later, maybe hear from Mr. Clay. Park Plaza's reported sales per square foot, 314. The percentage lease was pretty high on this one. This mall, I'm sure you're familiar with this, but it has 2 anchors, but it's the same company. It's Dillard's. So it really is a single anchor mall with sales of about 314 per square. As I mentioned or alluded to, the property's had significant issues servicing the debt on this property. These excerpts I'm showing you just establish the amount of that debt listed for the property. We flip over to, which will be page 5. I'm going to show it here on my screen. This would be the page 19, quarterly information, unaudited at the top. If you scroll down, talking about a net income for the quarter was lower for an impairment loss on real estate of 37,400,000. Yeah, this would be page 5. I've got this highlighted here on my screen. You can see the company is disclosing that they have taken a $34 million impairment on the Park Plaza Mall, which is approximately half of the value. We'll scroll down and see the new net book value listed by the company is there at 37,957,000. This is on, that'll be on approximately page 6. You can see, so I'm sure if the court's familiar with impairments, but generally it's a 2-step process to perform the accounting function of impairments. If the income stream from the property does not pass an undiscounted cash flow analysis, it moves to stage 2 to determine fair value, which is not the same thing as fair market value in ad valorem cases, but it is a similar concept. And importantly here, they arrive at the fair value by using a discounted cash flow model. And I'll scroll to that on the next page on how they calculated that. Let me zoom in here a bit. So talking about the $37 million write down on this property, the fair value is estimated right around 37 or 39 million. Some of the reasons that the company is giving for this right now, the mall's experienced a decline of net operating income due to store closures and rent reductions. And then when they did the analysis of this, they used a 15% capitalization rate in their discounted cash flow model on a holding period of 10 years. And that resulted in a significantly lower value than they had on the books. And so they did take that write down, and if you're familiar with impairments, that is a permanent thing. So the company does eat that loss in the asset value going forward. It's a pretty drastic step to see a company take an impairment on a property. We know that there can be impacts from the the economy, economic obsolescence in properties, but once you see a company take the step of writing that value down, that is a major sign of issues, at least with the potential cash flow for that property. I'm going to, the last page of this simply makes a disclosure that Park Plaza was failing to meet the minimum net operating income defined in their loan agreements, and that the company, or that the loan holders, the mortgage holder, would retain any excess net operating income or cash flows until the levels had come back up. Now, this was as of the end of the year 2019. In the 10Q, which was filed in the should be, I think, the middle of this year, but disclosing things that have gone on. This is exhibit number 4 that I've got, and just to substantiate some of the things that I was talking about with the loan issues on this property, or the servicing on this property. You get to page 2 of exhibit 4. The loan on the Park Plaza Mall is listed as in default throughout, into the 2020 year, which, again, goes back to what I was talking about on that this property is going into foreclosure, and it does appear that the owner will just let it go back to the lender. So this property has some significant issues with cash flow and income. I think we've seen that. The company certainly thinks that's the case. The separate analysis that we had prepared, on income also indicates a value significantly lower than what the assessor has. And so today, we would ask that the court adjust the real and true market value of the property at the Park Plaza Mall to $20,910,000. And that is the brunt of my presentation. I'm happy to answer questions.
Ms. Davis?
I do have just a couple questions, Wyatt. So the company has it at 37 million. In your income workup, you have it at 23.9, but then in the petition, you're asking for 20.9 million. Can you talk a little bit about the $3 million difference from your income workup to what you're asking for?
Yeah, I think I have a typo in exhibit number 2. The original value was at 20,910,000, and I believe that's all that was because we verified that with filing our petition. So that would be the value stated in the petition is the value we're requesting. The extent there's a difference on exhibit 2, I believe that's just a typo. That was prepared by the tax rep.
We'll add up those, and that was just, I was trying to figure out how we were getting from evidence that showed the 23 million down to the 20 million. And then you said the loan was in default. What was the amount of that loan?
Well, if you take a look at my exhibit number 4, it would show if you take a look at exhibit number 4, page 2 of that, which is like 29 or 28 of that 10Q, they show it at 77,577,000 as the loan amount.
Okay.
Again, apparently nowhere near recoverable. This property is severely water.
Yeah, see that?
I think that's all the questions I have.
Next one.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Used at 77.
And here's a paper copy of the
Okay.
presentation.
Okay, no further questions, Ms.
Okay,
Davis?
Scott.
Presentations.
Okay,
Is it ready for me? I'm gonna,
Davis, please proceed.
all right, Bob, will you first introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, where you work, and your qualifications?
My name is Bob Clay. I'm the Commercial Division Manager with the Pulaski County Assessor's Office. Been the fee appraiser and ad valorem assessor with the Pulaski County Assessor's Office for, I've forgotten him, 33 years, I believe.
Okay, great. So we have a presentation that Bob is gonna run through for the court, if that's all right with everybody.
All right, if we could skip to the next screen, please. It's really tough for me to read that, but I believe we've already indicated that the property's on the books for about 63, I can't read it.
I can't read the photocopy either, 53 something.
If we could skip to the page that says Cushman and Wakefield. It's going to be kind of difficult for my old eyes to read this, but, the next few sheets were actually given, provided to the assessor's office by, one of the in-house reps with Simon, who is, you all probably know is one of the largest mall owners in the nation. And in appealing their property, they gave us this information that apparently the two malls have about the same price per square as far as their sales go.
And what other mall are you talking about?
I'm sorry,
What?
McCain Mall. They had I believe this is a B- mall indicated, which shows store sales of 275 to about 3.25. Cushman and Wakefield indicates that nationally, those properties typically sell on cap rates between 11 and 16%. A lot of different things go into looking at these different grades as far as going from a D to an A+. These obviously are going to have a much higher cap rate. They typically are to the point on a D class. I believe that where they're pretty much dark. And then it moves to, a better and better occupancy rate until the A+, where, you're talking about LA, New York, very high price per square foot rents and excellent occupancy. And McCain Mall right now is in about the same position as far as their occupancy. I believe Park Plaza, maybe Wyatt could fill us in, as of the first of the year, I believe Park Plaza was about 15% vacant. McCain Mall is sitting at right about 90% vacant. So when you're talking about a cap rate of 20%, that really goes more to a mall that has a much higher vacancy rate from all indications from these different companies that put out these reports what malls are doing nationwide. The next screen is from Newmark Knight Frank. Same thing, they're showing that the grade on a C to a C+ is 305 to 345. Next screen. It does not indicate on the printout who this is from. I don't believe this possibly could be CBRE. They're indicating a C-class mall has inline tenant sales of 225 to 350 a foot, cap rate of 16 to 25%. So you can see even the different companies that put out these reports have kind of wide ranging indications of what what would a C to a B plus might actually sell for. Next screen is from Green Street Advisors. Again, this is specifically for McCain Mall. They have a sales price per square foot of $315 a square foot. They indicate a B minus and an average of 14%. Actually, I believe that is what they believe McCain Mall would sell on is a 14%.
Let me stop you there.
Yes, sir.
On this sheet, this last sheet, and we're talking about McCain Mall now, it shows an occupancy of 89%.
Right.
And so did I just mishear you when you were back at your first sheet, I guess, the Cushman and Wakefield, and you entered McCain Mall into the conversation? I thought you said 90% vacant.
90% occupied.
Okay,
I may
all
have
right, okay. That's why I wanted to ask the question.
90% occupied. If I did say vacant, I meant to say 10%.
That's okay. It's clear to me now
Okay,
and makes more sense.
exactly. But at any rate, that's kind of through talking about McCain Mall, but other than to say we did settle with them, their NOI, we just left their NOI where it was, and we settled on a 12 cap to adjust their value for this year. And we recognize that malls nationwide are having issues. The enclosed malls are having issues. Older malls like this that just one of those things that the demographics have changed. Even though they're still 90% occupied, still doing well, I don't want to try to guess as to what the issue is, other than they have about 85-90% occupancy rate. They are pulling in good rents. My next screen shows that this is pulled directly, I believe, from the income and expense, the same income and expense that Wyatt presented. Total revenues, 11.5 million and change. Their expenses, 3.8. So their NOI actually, as of the 1st of 2020, is $7,726,714. That's about 2 million more than the pro forma that Wyatt presented earlier. And again, the assessor's office, our appraisal date is as of the 1st of the year. We can't deal with hypotheticals looking into the future. We have to look at what is as of January 1. So Park Plaza sales are at $318 a foot. Their occupancy 87%. They're somewhere in McCain Mall at $315 and 89%.
Frank, let's move to the next slide. Sorry.
I'm sorry. There we go. The Green Street cap rate was 14, and all I did was take their NOI and apply cap rates between 11 and 25%, just to show the value range that these different national organizations that put out these indicators. Considering the value that we have on the books at $63,596,350, and just to see where the cap rate falls, one of the ways, or the main way, that an assessor looks, or not an assessor, but appraisers look at, cap rates. We derive those from the market. You look at the NOI, sales price, you divide the two, and the cap rate indicates that that's what they bought the property on, as far as the cap rate. If we do the same thing on the subject property, it indicates a cap rate of 12.15%. And that's, that's what we agreed to do with Simon on McCain Mall. So as far as we're concerned, the value that's on the books should remain. It's equitable with the only other closed mall that Park Plaza competes with. And so the assessor's office position is a no change.
And then talking about their valuation of $20 million, I mean, here we've got these cap rates and even increasing those. Is there any way you see possible that we can get down to that $20 million value?
No. Not at this time, not at all.
So is, in your opinion, the $20 million value they are requesting the true and correct value of the property?
No.
And that's it for my presentation. If Wyatt has questions or you have questions.
Yeah, I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Clay, have you prepared I guess, you're a member of the IAAO?
I'm sorry?
Are you a member of IAAO?
I am.
Does IAAO follow USPAP?
They do.
Okay. Have you prepared your presentation today? Would you consider that a USPAP compliant appraisal?
I have not performed an appraisal on the property. If you're speaking to more of a fee appraisal type appraisal, no.
Right, yeah. Would this be kind of the stuff you presented today? Would that be mass appraisal technique?
That you would have to define mass appraisal for me. We don't use modeling.
I would, I guess, define it as defined by USPAP Advisory Opinion number 32. Essentially, says that concepts of mass appraisal applying property values kind of as a whole, as the assessor's office normally does, is fine and proper at the administrative stage, but once litigation or an appeal has been filed, that it's time to switch to a fee appraisal. Are you familiar with USPAP Opinion 32?
I am, and it's exactly what it is an opinion. It is not a standard. It does not say we have to do it. I believe if you actually read Advisory Opinion 32 to the court, it would say we may or we should, but it definitely does not say that we must. It is an advisory opinion.
But as a member of IAAO, you're supposed to follow USPAP, right?
Again, it's not a standard.
Okay, just want to make sure of that. Question for you. This would have been page 2 of your set of exhibits. It's the commercial property card. I think there's 4 pages worth of these. I was looking at this. Did you analyze the Park Plaza Mall for any other types of depreciation, or for any type of depreciation, I should say?
Physical depreciation.
Okay. Anything on functional?
No. Nor economic.
Okay. Did you do any kind of test to see whether it might have been proper to apply some economic obsolescence or depreciation?
Apparently, it's the assessor's office opinion that there should not have been any functional or economic depreciation applied.
And that's because you guys are just doing a mass appraisal technique, right?
You would have to define mass appraisal technique.
And again, as we discussed, I would point back to USPAP, but in any event, I'll move on. Question for you. What class do you place Park Plaza Mall in? If you were going to class it? B minus, C minus?
I would, it depends on which, which one of these national organizations you want to look at, because it seems to me like their classifications differ as well. If you want me to give you a range, I would say a C to a B plus.
And I'm looking at the information you presented. It looks to me like you actually analyzed the attributes of Park Plaza. It fits in the C category or lower in just about every single one of these. Wouldn't that seem right?
It does fall into the range on some of the, yes, some of the indicators, or some of the national firms that classify malls, yes.
And the range of cap rates that I heard expressed today, Cushman and Wakefield was 11 to 16%, but that was on a B. It's so hard to read this. That was on a B, is that correct? Or B?
B minus, which again, that, let's see if I can read the. I believe it says 275 to 325 as far as the inline sales per square foot.
Okay. And then looking at it, single anchor, I can't read it. So, in any event, we're
Just to
at,
be clear, the cap rate range on the B minus, which Park Plaza does fall in that range, and their indication is 11 to 16% on the cap rate.
yeah, and you said though is generally a C property, but I'm looking at the C on this Cushman Wakefield, looks like the range is 16 to 25% cap rate.
No, sir, I said the range would be a C to a B or possibly a B plus.
But you said it would depend on which one of these, that you looked at, is that right?
We can go through each one of these again and see where Park Plaza falls.
Yeah, and I don't think we even have to look at the Cushman Wakefield one to know that a much higher cap rate is possible. The one that you weren't sure where it came from, and I don't even know which page it is, but it says mall classification parameters at the top.
Mm-hmm.
That fits our sales per square foot. We're definitely right in that, probably on the high end of that. And they've got anywhere from 16 to 25% cap rate.
Surely does. Mm-hmm.
And the assessor has settled on a 12% cap rate, 12.15, is that right?
With McCain, yes.
Well, excuse me, I'm sorry, I said settled. I mean, for this property, the assessor's office is using a 12.15% cap rate to get the $63 million value.
Using the NOI provided by you, yes. In relation to the value that's currently on the books, yes. That would indicate a 12.15 cap rate.
Right. Okay.
Which falls in the range of the cap rates that we were just speaking to.
Looks to me it only fell barely within the range of the Cushman Wakefield. It was out of the range of the other ones, but.
I agree.
Yeah. So if you were to apply, I mean, even the 14% cap rate the assessor's applying has got this property at a little less than 10 million lower.
Could you repeat that?
Go to the last page of your assessment. Under the 14% cap that the assessor's got, I guess this is just a mock-up of that. That would indicate a value of what, 55 million?
Yes, sir.
And 25% I see on here has got it down to 30, but any idea what a 20% cap rate would be?
You want me to do your math for you?
No, I don't have to. If you could eyeball it.
I mean, I'm not going to do your math for you.
I just figured with all of your
I'll
experience.
do math for the BOE, but I'm not doing math for a tax shredder, sorry.
All of your experience, that would just be something that a guy could eyeball, but I guess not. That's
I'm just picking on you, Wyatt, I'm sorry.
one other question. You guys use the actual NOI on this property, at least in this workup. Is that correct? At least from the rent roll?
Yes, on the sheet that's directly from, yes.
Right. Would a perspective, I mean, so let me ask you this. The standard of value in Arkansas, can you tell me what that is?
I'm gonna object, I'm gonna object to the extent that's a legal question.
I'm not an
Not an
attorney.
attorney.
No, I'm going to respond that an appraiser presenting a value to the court has to at least know what the standard of value that he's presenting on is. I mean, that's fundamental. But that's okay. That's fine. I'll withdraw that. I don't think I have any more questions.
I have just a short redirect, if you don't mind, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Bob, we spent a lot of time talking about fee appraisal and how they're alleging that should have been done. Have you seen a fee appraisal from the petitioner proving their value of 20 million?
No, ma'am.
And then we talked more about cap rates. And I mean, I know in your workup, you have some more cap rates, even raising the cap rate to 25. Do we get 25%? Do we get down to that 20 million value?
No.
That's all I've got.
If it was 25, what does it get down to?
It's
Oh, 30 million.
906, right? And that's, just the assessor's office trying to be transparent, and show the wide range of
That's fine.
cap rates and, right,
I'm just trying to get a feel.
I know.
And real quick, Your Honor, I had one final point. The reason taxpayer is not required to do an appraisal, the rules of evidence allow anyone to express an opinion of value about their property. That's all we've done here. That's why I've used at least, the record in this case that was expressed. So that's my response on that objection, was somewhat stated by the assessor counsel.
Okay. So, Mr. Swinson, so you're finished with your presentation? No further questions?
Might I ask one more question, just simple? Can you tell me what the net leasable area is on the subject?
From exhibit 2, the inline, I think, is 261,112. At least that's what was indicated
Okay.
on the inline.
Bear with me just one more moment. I just want to make sure. So the total revenue is 11,597,000, and the inline square footage is 261,112. So I am doing your math for you on this one, but the total revenue of 11,597,759,000. If I divide that by the inline square footage of 261,112, I get $44.42 per square foot. Does that sound like the average price per square foot of rent on the property? $44.42 per square foot?
No, I believe it's below 20, including the Dillard's revenue in that, which is not in the square footage I provided you.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. You've got Dillard's revenue in there divided by just the inline. I did have one question. Is the court going to issue a ruling today or take it under advisement and then issue an order?
Say that again?
My question for the court is the court going to issue us a ruling today, an oral ruling? Or is the court going to take this under advisement and then issue a ruling later?
I'm going to take it under advisement and issue a ruling hopefully within 10 days.
And Your Honor, I just have another question. Is the county attorney's office going to assist you in preparing that order?
I guess we go a couple different ways. Sometimes the county attorney's office, and sometimes we'll ask the prevailing side to submit an order, and the county attorney's office will review that to make sure it's compliant with what the decision was.
Sure. Well, and this is not a huge deal, but I'm seeing this issue raised in our 2019 case, or at least the potential of it. Just for the record, I would like to make an objection to any involvement with the county attorney's office representing the county judge and preparing an opinion here and simultaneously representing the assessor. This is a conflict of interest. It cannot be screened away. It cannot be waived. It cannot be cured. So I am going to make that objection for the record. Let the lawyers deal with that later down the road. But that's all that I have, Your Honor.
That's fine, and the objection is noted.
Thank you.
Do you, there being no more questions, do you have anything else you want to close with?
I don't, Your Honor.
Ms. Davis, do you have anything you want to close with?
I just have a quick thing, just to remind the court that it is the petitioner's burden to prove by preponderance of the evidence the true and correct value. We have seen values of the company at company valuing the property at 37 million, a loan for 77 million. We've seen the assessor talk about even with the higher cap rate, we don't get down to the 20 million. So I don't think with the evidence presented today that the petitioners met their burden of proof to call for a ruling in their favor and that the assessor's value should stand.
All right, I'll invite you both to submit a summation of your case if you care to, or any other point you want to make sure is brought forward. I'd like to have that by 2 weeks from today, the end of business, 2 weeks from today, and I'll try and get a ruling out on this within 2 weeks after that. That makes sense to y'all?
And then is that a one page?
And thank you very much. I sure would appreciate it if you'll make that, limit that extra information to not more than 1 page.
Sounds good, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else? That's all. Thank you all. We're adjourned.
Thanks,
Thank
Ed.
you. Bye, guys.
Hey, sorry again for being late. I apologize for that.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all.
Next.
All right.